Good afternoon and welcome to the Great Plains Annuity and Life Marketing Tuesday webinar. Today I'm Rich Hellerick on the line here. I'm going to host this webinar. I kind of have a little niche that I market with a few of our producers in the 401k market, and I like talking about these kind of topics. I mean, I liken it to elephant hunting, and I like elephant hunting. I've always said the good thing about elephant hunting is that man, you got to shoot them a lot of times to bring them down, but boy, if you ever bring one down, you can sure eat a long time. And so this topic today is a little bit more geared toward that bigger hunt, and but the payoff can be great. So let's get in here. There's three ways that you can tap into this market. One of them is actually fairly easy, another one a little more complicated, and then the third one on a total 401k takeover. If anybody's ever done that or have a 401k plan, you know that moving those plans is a monumental task. You have to have a motivated owner to be able to tap into that side of it, but I'm going to show you guys everything that we've done and have in place that may make that curve a little easier for you. But anyway, let's go in here and talk about the strategies that work. There's three of them, and we're going to cover all three of them. The first one, and we'll go into more detail, but just real quick, age-based in-service withdrawals, also in-service withdrawals that is not age-based, and we'll cover both those in more detail. And then the other one, a complete 401k takeover. Those are the three strategies that I've helped with a few producers that we have that have hit very, very big cases, and it's ongoing too. If you ever get into the right company, man, I tell you what, it's better than seminars. It's better than our CPA referral program, and it can last and last and last. So anyway, we'll get to that in just a second, but talk real quick about what you must do to be able to succeed in that market. First of all, you got to find the companies that have these provisions for non-hardship in-service withdrawals. You got to find the companies that have those provisions in their 401k document already. Professional groups, anybody working with doctors groups, the reason why they work so well and the plans that we have taken over so far have been in that line, because you actually have most of the employees, which are the doctors and themselves, a very highly motivated group to reduce fees, to take more control of their financial market. And anybody that, like me, working with doctors and lawyers myself, two things I can tell you about that group. They know everything. They know more than we do. Anyway, they tell me. So anyway, but those guys want to save fees and so forth, and I think it's an easy group to move, especially once you get the trust of that market. CPA referrals, also talking with the CPAs that you work with. I have two that I work with, and believe me, every year he knows I'm going to ask which one of these plans can we go after, and sometimes we get shut down, but it's a good referral source, especially if you have a good CPA you're working with. Okay, so I think we just covered this, but on the one side here, a complete 401k takeover and the in-service withdrawal. But let's go in here and let's just dig right into the age-based in-service withdrawal. I don't think a lot of guys understand this. The whole key to this component is age 59 and a half, and they're still working. And if they're still working, let's say you got a lifer, he's been at John Deere, it doesn't matter, any company, GM, any company and he's over 59 and a half, the portion of the 401k contribution that he has made, he can pull that money out, just like an IRA rollover. That's all it is. In fact, moving that money, instead of doing a regular 1035, if that guy will get the actual paperwork from the employer, money moves so like lightning speed out of these plans into something more safe, if that's what you so choose to do with it. But the whole key in here, age 59 and a half, and if he's still working, and he has, and obviously he's been working there, the longer they've been working there, the better, more money they'll have on their own contribution of that plan. The other thing, employer-specific forms. Once you have an employer that you're working with, get a copy of those forms, hold on to them. It'll be the same forms from year 1, year 2, year 3, as long as that plan stays with that particular provider. You'll use the same forms and application, suitability, and a disclosure form. Everything else you will not use. and the money moves relatively quick. Usually it takes about 8 to 9 days to move the money, and you don't have anybody trying to conserve it, and it's just really, really good, easy, clean business. And the other thing is most employees, don't know that they even have this option. And I'll cover this again here on a low-hanging fruit slide, but the best thing I can tell you, if you want to go after this market, get a list 59 and a half and older up to age 65 that are still working. Now, when you do that list, I just want to point out that list does not exist, but you can get the list where it's halfway accurate, like 50% accurate that they're still working. And yeah, you're paying for 500 names that probably aren't even going to be specific to this mailing. But again, you don't have to hit, we're not looking for, a 10% response. I mean, 3 to 4 leads off a 1,000-piece mailing like that. And that's about what we've seen, is that guys are getting anywhere from 3 to 8 replies, because a lot of the employees, like I said, they still don't know it. We can help you with the mailer if you want to do the mailer through us and so forth, and get that out to some prospects and give it a go. But I find that a really easy way to get in there. And then I'm going to go one other step, that, if you have any employers, like, for example, we're in Kansas City, and I think most of you know that, but, Sprint is here. I mean, there's a huge company here that they have the provision for not even age-based, but in-service non-hardship withdrawal. Those people can move their contribution anytime they want. And the companies love these kind of withdrawals, because why? Because if all the employee has all their money built into the market, everybody knows what happened here in the last, week. We're off, 8, 9, 10%. And the companies just don't want the liability. I mean, people are suing everybody if you look at them wrong these days. So anyway, very good and easy way to get into that market. And you can do some mailings in there, or go back to the contacts that you have and talk to your CPAs and find those people that are still working, 59 and a half, and make sure they understand that they can move that money into either income or some kind of other vehicle you want to move it to. Okay. Non-hardship in-service withdrawal, a little more complicated, but still very easy to do. The only thing is you got to have, and everybody goes, well, what are the companies that allow it? If you email me and rich@gpam.biz, or give me a call, or call one of your reps that you work with over here at Great Plains, we can email you the list of the companies that already have that provision in place, so that people can take their money out on the contributions that they've made. Now, you think, well, boy, you send me that list and I'll go prospect these people. Yeah, it's not that easy. You need to go through human resources, make them aware of that provision, that they have it in there, and make sure they understand why the company would even let you have a voluntary workshop in their own employee lounge or wherever, and make these people realize that they have this option. Companies like it once they understand you're doing it, because you're taking away the company's exposure to market declines. And it takes those companies off the hook, because the company can come back and say, well, we had that provision and you never took it. You decided to leave all your money in, Asian emerging markets, and your 28% decline is what you got. So very important to know that. The companies want it, but a lot of the human resource people that are running these companies, they don't even understand it. And it's up to you to go there and make sure that that they do understand it. Again, more on that particular provision, Genworth, they have a specific form, brochure, whatever you want to call it, that goes to this in detail. And I would make sure that if I were going to attack that particular segment, I would make sure that those companies, or the companies that you're working with, get that form in front of that human resources director and see what you can do with it. Again, it's not age related. I mean, you got a 40-year-old that has 400 in there and they put 220 of their own money. There's your carrot right there. You have a 220,000 pile of money that can be moved. Again, employer-specific forms. Once you have the forms, and once they're allowing you to come in there and do these voluntary workshops, you already have the forms, and the money can move relatively quick. And showing these guys income riders, as everybody knows, that it's a hot commodity, but a 50-year-old that could put 200 or 300 in a good income rider these days and let it grow for 10 years, and they have 500, 600 in their 401k. You're not going in there and asking for the whole egg here, just a small percentage of it. that could go in here and provide them a good pile of income when they get ready to retire sometime in their 60s or late 60s. But that's really that provision. So there is a thing that, like I said, a piece from Genworth that'll really help talk about this in more detail, but those are the highlights. And we have a list of the companies that have that provision in place, and I'd highly tell you to get that, and maybe you find out that you're lucky enough to have one of these major companies in your backyard. Second of all, don't discount some of the companies too, because you can get that provision added. It takes a little work to have the provision added, because now you're going in there and talking and getting ready to take away probably some kind of a trail fee from somebody else and moving the money away from their control and into something that they won't get paid for. So, you're going to have a little bit of a headbutt there, I think. But again, I go back to the elephant stuff. If you get something like this, it can be great, and you can make a lot of money with it. So those are the two, age-based and non-hardship in-service withdrawals. I'd highly tell you to learn more about it. It can put a lot of extra money in your pocket and help your practice quite a bit. So anyway, let's go on to the third one. Here is I should have said open elephant, and maybe instead of open architecture. The guy that came up with open architecture, was a guy that I've been talking to that ran a TPA, and man, I tell you what, the guy knows what he's doing. And I mean, he's a great salesman to sell his product and what he does, and he knows ERISA laws. He knows everything in the 401k, defined benefit, any kind of vehicle that's after tax or before tax plans that we have. He's the guy to do it. But when we ran across this guy, what we wanted the ability to put individual annuities from the carriers that we represent within a 401k plan. And how do you do that? Well, the plan has to, because like right now, whenever you do and look at 401k plans, we have the umbrella, and the TPA is at the top of the umbrella, and they have 50 different funds. They could have 100. I don't know, only 10. You usually have some kind of a money market fund. They have bond funds in there, and they have all the different growth funds that you can have. And that's pretty much it. What we wanted to do was have the same menu, and I'm going to pick on Great Plains because I'm the guy that was motivated to have this done. And so we have the umbrella. We needed a TPA that could take over the plan and say, we want these funding vehicles, traditional mutual funds and growth vehicles for the employees that saw and wanted a big chunk of their money in those particular growth areas. But me, I'm 53 years old, and I'm a great example. 53-year-old guy, business owner. I've got a wife that, that is love of my life, but man, I tell you, she's got a Nordstrom card, and believe me, she uses it. But seriously, she's 7 years younger than I am, and if something ever happened to me, I want my wife to be taken care of, and I'm very motivated to have some kind of an income rider based through our 401k that I could partially fund with some of the money in here. The TPA that we found allowed us to go in here and use open architecture with the umbrella, and we have the traditional funding vehicles, and we added, here's what we added. We added Scottrade, okay? We added Scottrade. So, for example, if one of the employees in here, somebody gave him a tip, or it doesn't even matter a tip, he goes, man, have you ever been to Costco? The lines out there, there's 30 people deep in every one of those lines, and blah, 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 and I'd really like to own some of that in my 401k. An employee can come in here and pull out, let's say he wants to put $25,000 in that particular group or that stock. He can go in here and have our TPA direct 25 grand over to Scottrade and go out there and execute a trade and own Scottrade within his 401k. It's an individual 401k. Now, coming back to me as my example, I wanted to go in here and have the ability to dump $300,000, $500,000, whatever the number is for whatever guy you're doing, but $300,000 into an income rider. And again, my wife at that point when we did this, she was 44, and I wanted something that roll for 20 years and give her X amount of money with doubling and all the other good stuff that it has. And that's what we did. But I have to have a TPA that'll recognize that annuity, and then I have to have the right annuity companies that will acknowledge an individual 401k and take that kind of business. There's 3 of them. I found who the 3 of them are. I've talked to them enough, and I've talked to all the 65 carriers we represent. We have 3 carriers that will take this kind of business, and you can add those 3 annuity carriers into the TPAs, into the actual plan document that allow the employee to dump their money into those annuities. There's a lot of people in there that own 401ks. I don't know if anybody else held the 401k we have on our guaranteed in our 401k. I think it's paying like 20 basis points on interest rate. That's it. But it's guaranteed, but it's 20 basis points. We wanted the ability also that if a MIGA rate at one of these carriers was 3% for 5 years, hell, 3% is not a bad number these days. And there's people, I'm telling you, that are in my age bracket, maybe not in their 40s, but in their 50s. And I'm going to tell you something, we're turning more conservative on this money, and that's what we want. You know, frankly, you know, I have many examples I could tell everybody about the people that I've talked with, and I'm telling you, these people that have money and are wanting it, they're really more concerned that it's going to be there, and they'll take a lower return, and they're not out there fishing for the next mutual fund that's going to do 8, 9%. A lot of them just don't want to mess with it anymore. They have enough money, and if you can make 3, 4, 5% on that money, they're happy with doing it. But the TPA, again, allows us to take over the plan, okay, and we take it over there, put it under the umbrella. You can have all the different funding mutual funds you want in there, all the guaranteed, like a money market account, but our main goal in there was to get our annuities in there that we have an interest in, and we own these contracts ourselves, and we believe in it 100%. The other thing, this is, again, I mentioned a little bit earlier, but doctors and professional groups, attorneys and doctors, I'm telling you, these guys, they know about the fees that their plans are assessing those guys. And I'm telling you, the doctors out there, there was a group that came in here from Louisiana, and these doctors, there were 5 of them, they were so mad on how much of the fees they were paying. They were so motivated to have this thing taken over. And yeah, I don't know if they've done any good with their own money management, but that's what they wanted to do. But what else did we get in there with these guys? We got a couple of annuity companies in there. And you know what those doctors did? They took turned out to be about 3.7 million is what the agent rolled over into some income riders, because these doctors were all in their early 50s. And it was a great deal, and it's ongoing. When they retire, our guy has a good opportunity to go in there and roll over some of the rest of the money when they have it. So I think it's a great idea, but it's just a little bit more complicated. Going back up to open architecture, and when you think you have a 401k plan that you can take over, so what's the next step? The next step, you email me or call me or whatever, and I have a document. It's a little more complicated, about 3 or 4 pages, but you're going to have to go in there and you can't just go to the current employer, so give me your plan document. There's a lot of stuff we need to know, and it takes you probably 15 minutes, 20 minutes either with the main business owner or the human resources person to take this plan over, and we need all that information. Our guys of the TPA will take that document that you filled out, and they'll look at it and they'll say, yeah, I think we can do it, or no, this doesn't make any sense. So you have to have that. We don't want to go over here and have 100 people call our TPA guys and start talking about different things they're working on. Look, the form is the first thing you have to do. I have to do it, and I think we have 3 guys that are actually in market on the 401k plans, and that's what they concentrate in, and it's worked really well for it. But again, it's an elephant, and it takes a long time. Even if you had a guy that was saying today, I can't wait to move, this is exactly what we're looking for, plan on probably anywhere from 4 to 7 months to get a plan mapped over, moved over, and everything put into line. Other thing about the TPA, Great Plains has this, and I look at it. You know, we have an online access that I can go in there and put my own user ID and log in. I can pull up my own 401k. I get every day. It's up mark to market. I get updated on what my plan's doing yearly, daily, 3-month moving average on all those plans, and yearly, and 3 months and 5 years what the returns were. You can get all that information. Every employee is going to want to have it. Employer is going to want to have it as an administration guy, and we have it. It's all turnkey. So anyway, that is the idea for the open architecture. And boy, I sure hope there's a couple guys out there listening today. I think we have about 80 people on this call. So hopefully there's a couple guys who want to talk to me more about it, because well, I really like working in that market. I want to talk at the end of here, how do we harvest the lowest hanging fruit, the least effort, and the fastest results. Every agent that calls in here, not every, I want to say every, but so many guys calling here, man, I need to make $8,000. I got this, and this due, and or whatever. This segment is probably not for you. If you have a good practice and you have staying power, this is a good market to be in. But the easiest way to get in there, target the 59 and a half and older prospects that are still working. It's the easiest money to move, and if you have an in to get into that market, call me. We'll get a list for you, get a mailing out there, and see what happens. The professional groups you already have under your direction, go back and look at, if you're in some kind of a networking program, get it out there on your Facebook page, LinkedIn, whatever. Let people know you can handle that stuff. A lot of times people don't even know you're in that market to do it, but let those people know this is what you can do. CPAs that you work with, talk to the CPAs. Find out if they're going to give you a list or give you a few guys that are 59 and a half still working, and let them have a meeting at the CPA's office. I do that with my guys, and it works. But then, also at the close, any of the documents that we have from the in-service withdrawals, if you want that Genworth page, just let me know you want it. You want the list of all the companies that currently have in-service non-hardship withdrawal, I'll get that list to you. And if you have anybody that you want to go out there and try to take over the plan, via the open architecture and show that particular idea, give me a call and I'll send you that form too, to sit down with the employer to get that information to see if we have something to work with. Okay, so anyway, I covered that kind of quick, but there's 3 things to remember: in-service, age-based, and the 401k open architecture takeover. If any of those 3, if you heard something today that makes sense, give us a phone call, and we'd love to help you out. And then also just let you know, we're having we just launched a golf trip tournament to Kansas City here in September, I think is when the actual dates are going to be. So if you have an interest and love playing golf, make sure you talk to your rep. He'll tell you about the what kind of qualifications you have to do it. And boy, we'd love to see everybody in here in September playing golf at Kansas City. All right, thanks a lot, and I will talk to you next time. Oh, wait, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, let's do this. Any carriers that are taking the annuity business? Yeah, and I covered that in here. Just letting you know, there are 3 of them that I have vetted out, A to Z and Z back to A, and they will take individual 401ks. So we do have that covered. And then the other thing, getting the list of age 59 and a half. Real quick covering that. That list does not exist. For example, if I want to list and I want to, really manipulate the demographics on it, I can do that. But right now, one reason why that list is even harder to make sure it's accurate is because the economy sucks. Since 08, I think, what is there, like 8-9%, maybe up to 11% of the people have just quit looking for jobs. And I don't think these people in these lists have been updated because these people aren't reporting what their current employment status is. So that's why I think that list is a little bit hit or miss. But again, if it's 50% accurate, I'd say spend, all of us have spent enough money on marketing plans, good God, that haven't worked. I'd spend $400 or $500 getting a letter to these guys and see if anything is out there in your area. So anyway, that's to close it up. And if you have anything else, give me a phone call, email me, or talk to your rep, and we will get the information to you. Again, thanks and good selling.